Hey friends, it is Mathew of Mx Domestic, and I wanted to show you how I made this ooh la la pillow cover to match a weave that I had done with some excess strips from my weaves. I didn't want it to go to waste because I love the fabric that much, and I had this gold as an accent, and it was easy peasy pudding pie to put together. Super dynamic, super gorgeous. Things don't need to be complicated. And sometimes it's just really fun to sit down with a project that's doable in a day, 2 days. You could make the strips different sizes. You could turn this into a quilt size if you wanted to with this size strips or whatever your choosing is. But this is just a go-to if you have excess strips, if you have a jelly roll sitting around that you don't know what to do with, or if you wove something up and you have a lot of extra strips that you don't want to go to waste and you're kind of done with weaving like I was. So if you want to learn how to make this, either the direct application that I've done here or apply this to something bigger, smaller, whatever you're liking, then stick around and let's have some fun together. So I have these strips left over from this weave that I made. So I'm going to make a complimentary pillow and add in this gold metallic accent color. These strips were cut at 1.5 inches, so for balance in the project and just to make measurements easy, I'm going to do the same for the accent strip. Clean up the edge first, cut another one, and this is a width of fabric cut right here. So I don't feel like mathing yet, so I'm going to cut these, and these are the ones that I've already cut on, into 5-inch strips and then 3-inch strips. And then I'm going to randomly select them and then just sew them all together. So I'll get to cutting these. Cut off the selvage here. Five-inch. So I have cut up 3-inch strips here, 5-inch strips here from what I had. Then I do have 4 19-inches of these that are going to go on the verticals. And these are going to be sewed to where they also go on the verticals like this. And I'm going to do it at random because to make it truly random, I put them all in this box and I'm going to shake it and then just pull from the box over my sewing machine and make it as long as 19 inches to where it will be the same length as this. And for funsies, I am going to chain stitch. For those that don't know what chain stitching is, if you have similar things, you just keep sewing, keep sewing, keep sewing. I'm going to use a 1/4-inch seam allowance right here. And then where I would normally like snip it, I'm just going to grab 2 more and sew them together. I'll just keep going until, I don't know, I guess that I have enough to make 19 inches. I have finished 2 sets of the 5-inch strips, and now I'm going to do the 3-inch strips, where I have 3 sets. There is an option for you to do longer strips and then strip cut after, which would be, I don't know, doing like a 19-inch strip, sewing 19-inch strips together and then cutting them as you'd like. I did it this way because I wanted to have more variety in the pillow. But if you want to just get it done and variety isn't important to you and you'd like it to be uniform or have a different kind of variant, then you can definitely do strip cutting. So see how it's all connected in a chain? This is 3 sets of the 3-inch, and now I'm just going to trim these with my snips, throw them back in the box, shake it up, and then I'm going to do the random again. Shake it all up, and back to the sewing machine. And I will continue following this process of chain piecing as it gets longer and longer until I have 3 19-inch sections of the 3-inch strips and then 2 19-inch sections of the 5-inch strips. So I now have some caterpillars. I did one long one and then I'm just going to slice them because I don't want them all to start at the same place, which will create more variance. But look how beautiful this looks. I'm going to press all of the seams going the same direction. My first pass, I will go on the back and then I'll flip it over and get it really good on the front. Use some quilting and crafting fine mist sprayer from Magic. Get super flat. Just do it enough to where it gets flat. You don't gotta like stretch out the seams. I will do the same with the 3-inch caterpillar and then meet you at my cutting mat. Doing the 5-inch first, and I just need 19 inches. So I'm gonna square this up. Bonita. Like so. And this one, it shrank it down to 4 3/4. So I'm going to cut this one, square this one up about the same. Just so I can have some kind of symmetry and balance in it to fulfill the fantasy of this pillow. Ta-da! Look at that. And I am going to do the same thing to the 3-inch. And, ooh, do you see the gorgeousness? Let me wiggle, wiggle, wiggle so you can see the gorgeousness. 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 Mm-hmm. Gorgeousness. Gorgeousness. So, I've just finally done the math on all of this. And for this to work out to where it's roughly 19 by 19, I need to trim off about 1.5 inches. So, to make it simple, I'm going to trim off a 1/4 inch on all of these. So these two will end up being 4.5 inches wide, and these three will end up being 2.5 inches wide, and that will get me to the math that I need. And yes, I could have done the math ahead of time, but now you'll have the right math. And what fun is that? Let's just wing it and make a project. Don't need to figure it all out ahead of time. Let me do that for you and get you there as I go. Because it's the puzzle piecing that I like in all of this, is figuring stuff out as I go. It makes the project really fun, and it allows me to get into my zen where I'm just present with it and don't stress out, and however it ends up, it ends up. Especially with a project like this, with it, which is very random, improv-esque. Not a lot of thinking until you need to think, which is the spot that I'm at now. So I will now trim all of these to the measurements that I need to, and then head over to my sewing machine. Put one of these strips right sides together here. And sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to go ahead and chain piece 4 of these together. I'm going to do all of the seams going the same direction, so they're going to be pointing down here, and then I can attach them. As long as I leave a gold strip off of one of them, then it's going to work out perfectly. Now that these are done, I'm going to sew one 3-inch duo to one 5-inch duo. So as I lay this, just make sure I lay it down flat and I don't stretch it. And we should be good. Oh, look at how beautiful it's looking. Now I will sew these two together. I totally had the gold strip on the wrong side, so I'm going to move it over. This is one of the casualties of thinking as I go and figuring stuff out. Is that there was an order to which these needed to go, and the gold strip is okay if it remains on the outside of the 5-incher or 4.5-incher, but not on the 2.5-incher. Tell you what I'm talking about. This is the outside edge. This needed to remain here. Ta-da! For it all to work. Like so, ready to sew. We are ready to sew. And then now the final and we are good. And now I'll meet you back over my pressing mat to finish this beautiful pillow front. And so now for these, I'm going to lay these seams flat. So I'll make sure that the single piece of fabric, which is the gold, is what folds over. Now I'll just minimize bulk. Flip it over. I don't know, can you iron this fabric? You can, right? Never used it before. Oh yeah, iron's great. And this is the final pillow. Made it a little bit longer so that I could trim it up. Ah! Squaring it. Like so. And wow, friends, that's going to be one foxy pillow right there. And imagine if we turn this into a quilt. This could be a quilt. Different scales. You could use jelly roll thickness of strips. You could just vary it. You could have varied thickness of strips. This is a simple, easy way to make something dynamic, beautiful. Not a lot of thought. You figure it out as you go. You can follow the instructions that I have here. Happy sewing.